Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going deep, deep into 1970s Miami.
A time and place, really synonymous with glamour, sunshine,
Beaches, yeah.
but also a booming drug trade,
Oh, yeah.
which fueled really the rise of organized crime.
I mean, think Scarface, right?
That's
That kind of
catchy.
vibe. And it's in this electrifying setting that we encounter the case of Stanley Harvey Harris.
An enforcer
Yeah.
for the Cavo
Who
organization.
met a very grim end on Valentine's Day in 1974.
His story, as you'll discover, is really a tangled web of power, betrayal, and violence.
Yeah, and it ultimately exposed this dark underbelly of corruption.
And forever changed, I think, law enforcement in South Florida.
So to kick things off, can you talk a little bit about the role of an enforcer in organized crime?
Yeah, so they are the muscle, the intimidation, really the embodiment of the threat that keeps everyone in line.
Right.
But this kind of power, especially within a criminal organization, attracts danger
From both
on
sides.
both sides of the law.
Absolutely. And that's what makes Stanley Harris's story so interesting. He was found in his Lincoln Town car.
Oh, a flashy black one.
Yeah. Riddled with 23 bullets.
23 bullets.
This wasn't just a hit.
No.
It was an execution-style message, sent loud and clear.
To anyone who dared to cross the Calvo crew.
So you mentioned organized crime. This case also gives us a peek into the Dixie Mafia.
Yeah, a lesser known but equally ruthless, I think, criminal syndicate
Yeah.
that operated throughout the southern U.S.
Mhm.
Think of them as like a shadowy network of individuals involved in everything. I mean, from gambling,
Bootlegging.
drug trafficking, and of course, murder. They might not have the same Hollywood notoriety as, say, the Italian mafia,
Right.
but their impact on communities, especially in 1970s Miami, was undeniable.
For sure. So let's meet the key players, starting with the Cavo organization. It's like imagine a family business, but instead of selling, widgets, they're dealing in drugs, violence, and fear. And at the helm, we have William Billy the Kid Andres. This guy wasn't just a
It
smuggler.
was a master manipulator,
He even had a corrupt police sergeant living in his house.
complete with, you're not going to believe this, but an alligator in the pool.
Talk about connections.
Right.
So that detail about the corrupt police sergeant, it's not just like a colorful anecdote, is it?
No, I mean, it really reveals, I think, how deeply organized crime can infiltrate the very institutions that are meant to uphold the law
Yeah, it's a reminder that corruption can wear many faces.
and operate within, the systems that are designed to protect us.
Scary. So next up, we have Ricky Cavo. He's the face of the organization. Volatile, arrogant, always surrounded by a group of loyal but not so bright henchmen.
Like Ronnie Chandler.
Ronnie, yeah.
So think of Ricky as like
Yeah.
the charismatic leader, right? He
Mhm.
calls the shots. And Ronnie is the unwavering muscle who carries them out.
Yeah.
This dynamic between a charismatic leader and a loyal enforcer, it's a recurring theme, I think, in organized crime. It
Yeah.
speaks to the power of personality, loyalty, and fear in maintaining control within these illegal enterprises.
Makes sense. And then we also have Bobby Greenwood and Paul the Snake Jacobson, the smugglers, kept the operation fueled.
With illegal goods
Yeah.
and money. These guys were like ghosts,
Yeah.
always a step ahead of the law until they weren't.
Right.
Smugglers, they're the lifeblood of any criminal organization. They bring in the goods, the money, the power that fuels the whole thing.
Yeah.
And their ability to operate under the radar is crucial to the success and the survival of these groups.
So we've got our players. Now imagine the chilling effect Stanley Harris's murder had on Miami.
The witnesses disappeared, some turning up dead.
Fear just permeated every corner. No one dared to breathe a word to the police.
Silence is a weapon, a powerful weapon, especially when wielded by, those who operate in the shadows.
Yeah. So the detectives on the case, Tom and Artie, they were up against this wall of silence. But then a glimmer of hope. Lester George Holt, a Cavo enforcer.
Who, fearing for his own life, agreed to become an informant,
Right. But before he could spill the beans, he met a tragic end.
sending a message to anyone else considering cooperation.
A chilling message.
Working with informants is, it's a dangerous game
Yeah.
for both the informant and law enforcement. It offers valuable inside information,
Sure.
but it comes at a high price. It really does. I mean, Lester Holt's murder, it demonstrates, I think, the brutal reality of dealing with organized crime.
Yeah.
It's this high-stakes game where lives are traded like currency, and loyalty is, Well, it's a fragile illusion.
It really is a sobering reminder, I think, of the risks involved, in trying to disrupt these criminal networks. But despite this setback, the detectives, Tom and Artie, they caught a break.
A stroke of luck, really.
Yeah. Witnesses
Uh-huh.
observed some suspicious activity at a canal. Turned out to be people disposing of some items.
Which turned out to be the murder weapons.
Murder weapons, yeah.
Yeah.
And the seemingly small detail, it provided a crucial break in the case.
Yeah. And it just highlights, the unpredictable nature of criminal investigations. Sometimes these seemingly insignificant details, they can lead to major breakthroughs.
Right, right.
Reminding us that, thoroughness and attention to detail are really paramount in cracking these cases.
Absolutely. But perhaps the biggest turning point came when Billy the Kid, the head of the Cavo organization, he decided to cooperate.
Think about that for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, the very person who orchestrated this elaborate criminal enterprise,
Yeah.
the one who seemed untouchable,
Right.
chose to turn against his own crew.
It's pretty wild.
It is. What's intriguing, I think, is the psychology of someone like Billy the Kid.
Yeah.
What motivates, a leader of such a powerful organization to turn informant? Was it fear for his own safety, a desire to protect his family, or was it something else?
Yeah.
A flicker of conscience maybe buried beneath years of ruthlessness?
It makes you wonder.
It does. These are questions that offer, I think, a glimpse into the complex motivations of those who operate in the criminal underworld.
Yeah. It's a question that lingers, doesn't it?
It does.
So Billy the Kid's cooperation, it blew the case wide open. He revealed the details of the plot to kill Stanley Harris. It turned out Stanley was becoming too ambitious, a threat to the Cavo crew. They feared he'd try to seize control.
And they decided to eliminate him before he could make a move.
Makes sense. But here's where it gets even darker. Initially, the plan was to kill Stanley at Billy the Kid's house and then eliminate his entire family.
No loose ends.
Wow. Just imagine the ruthlessness.
I know, the cold-blooded calculation behind such a plan.
Ever?
It reveals the depths, I think, of depravity that organized crime can reach. It's a reminder that these organizations, they operate outside the boundaries of morality
For sure.
and often view violence as just a necessary tool
To maintain control.
to eliminate threats, even those that pose no immediate danger.
That's crazy. But Billy the Kid, despite his involvement in, numerous criminal activities, he drew a line at harming innocent women and children. He put a stop to that part of the plan. But the plot to kill Stanley, that continued.
Which, raises the question, I think, about the limits of morality within a criminal organization.
Mm.
Did Billy the Kid genuinely object to the killing of Stanley's family on moral grounds?
Yeah.
Or was it a strategic decision, to minimize his own culpability
Yeah.
and the potential consequences? It's complex, isn't it?
It is.
This blurry line, I think, between self-preservation and a sense of right and wrong, even within the context of criminal activity.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It really is.
So they devised a new plan,
Mm-hmm.
one that preyed on Stanley's weaknesses.
They used his girlfriend as bait,
Oh, wow.
a stunning woman who turned heads wherever she went. They led Stanley to believe that a man named Sammy was making advances toward her.
Knowing that Stanley's temper, would lead him right into a trap.
Exactly. It shows the cunning and calculated nature, I think, of the Cavo crew. They were masters of exploitation, using people's vulnerabilities and relationships as weapons.
Yeah, they were good at what they did. So they tipped Stanley off that Sammy would be at a place called the Pirates Cove, a popular hangout. And Stanley arrived, fueled by jealousy and rage, and walked straight into an ambush. Ricky, Ronnie, Bobby, and 2 other hired thugs were waiting, guns blazing. Turned his car into a Sev riddled with bullets, and, he was discovered later in a nearby field.
The presence of those 2 unidentified hitmen, though, it really expands the scope of this operation, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
I mean, suggesting that the Cavo crew had a network of associates, right, that they could call upon for these types of violent acts. It really highlights the reach
Right.
and the sophistication of their criminal enterprise.
It really does. Now, remember those 2 women from the Pirates Cove, Barbara and Mary? They were more than just innocent bystanders. They had been partying with Ricky and his crew in the days leading up to the murder. And on the night of the hit, they witnessed the group leaving to meet Stanley in the parking lot.
a detail that would prove to be crucial.
Oh, yeah.
Their accidental involvement underscores a point I think that's often overlooked in, stories about organized crime.
But what's that?
The impact on innocent lives.
Right.
I mean, they were drawn into this dangerous world,
Right.
becoming unwitting witnesses to a brutal crime. Their experience serves as a reminder, really, that the consequences of organized crime, they ripple outwards,
Yeah.
affecting not only those directly involved, but those who find themselves caught in the crossfire.
Absolutely. So their testimony, along with Billy the Kid's confession, it provided the breakthrough the detectives needed. They apprehended Ricky at his waterfront home.
Luxurious, by the way.
Of course.
And guess what? The once untouchable kingpin didn't even resist.
Mm.
No. Which, that could be interpreted in several ways, I guess. Maybe it was a sign of arrogance, like a belief that his power, his connections would shield him from consequences. Or maybe it was calculated.
Right.
A way to avoid, drawing further attention to himself and his organization. It's subtle, but it invites speculation, I think.
It really does. Another layer to this story. So once Ricky was in custody, the rest of the crew started to crumble.
Loyalty evaporates quickly when self-preservation takes over.
It was a domino effect, wasn't it?
Yeah, leading to the unraveling of the entire Cavo organization. This is a common pattern in organized crime investigations. The arrest of a high-ranking figure, it often triggers a cascade of confessions and betrayals as individuals, prioritize their own survival above all else.
Absolutely. But the investigation didn't stop there. The information gathered from Billy the Kid and other informants, it led to solving nearly 30 other homicides that had gone unsolved. The Stanley Harris case, it became a catalyst, cracking open this Pandora's box of secrets and bringing a long-awaited sense of justice, I think, to the families of other victims.
That ripple effect, it underscores the far-reaching impact, I think, of organized crime. Each act of violence, it leaves behind this trail of trauma and unanswered questions.
Right.
And the solving of those cold cases, it not only brought closure to grieving families, but it also provided a sense of accountability, demonstrating that even those who operate in the shadows, they're not immune.
To the reach of justice.
Exactly.
Now let's shift our focus to the courtroom, where Ricky and Ronnie, the brains and brawn, they face trial, and who made a dramatic appearance looking as glamorous as ever, Stanley's girlfriend.
Her presence, must have been electrifying. Not only was she, a key witness to the events leading up to the murder, but her connection to Stanley Harris, it added this emotional layer to the proceeding.
Yeah.
It humanized the victim, didn't it? And it provided this powerful reminder of the personal costs of the Cavo crew's actions.
For sure. The courtroom was packed, and all eyes were on her as she delivered her testimony, confirming Billy the Kid's account. And corroborating the evidence, it was clear that Ricky and Ronnie's attempts to portray themselves as innocent bystanders, it was failing miserably.
Yeah. Her testimony probably played a crucial role, don't you think? In swaying the jury.
Oh, for sure.
Her firsthand account, coupled with all the mounting evidence, it painted this clear picture of their involvement in the conspiracy.
Yeah. So the jury found them guilty and recommended the death penalty, a testament to, I guess, the severity of their crimes and the impact they had. But there was a twist. The judge, he ultimately sentenced them to life in prison.
Which that decision, I think, it highlights the complex considerations involved in capital punishment cases.
Sure.
While the jury might have deemed the death penalty appropriate, the judge likely weighed, a range of factors, including the defendant's background, the nature of the crime, the possibility of rehabilitation.
Right.
It's a reminder that the justice system, even in the face of these heinous crimes, it strives to balance punishment with a degree of compassion and a belief in the possibility of redemption.
I imagine the judge's decision, sentencing them to life instead of the death penalty, it probably sparked a lot of debate.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, some people argued, they deserved the ultimate punishment for their crimes, while others believe that, life behind bars was more fitting.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It is. And it reflects, I think, the broader conversation surrounding capital punishment. It's a complex issue with strong arguments on both sides.
It's a debate that's not going away anytime soon. So the legal saga, though, it didn't end there. The DEA, they'd been monitoring the Cavo crew. They hit Ricky with a bunch of federal charges. related to drug smuggling.
To make sure that even if he somehow, escaped his life sentence, he would still face uh, decades behind bars.
Wow.
Yeah, the DEA's involvement really speaks to uh, that interconnected nature of organized crime. I mean, drug trafficking, it's often intertwined with violence, money laundering, corruption, making it a prime target, really, for federal law enforcement.
Right. But Ronnie, Ricky's loyal but not so bright accomplice, he had other ideas. Just 20 months into his sentence, he managed to escape.
And guess where he went?
Back to Miami.
Straight back to Dade County.
Of course he did. You'd think he would have, wanted to get as far away from Miami as possible. But I guess old habits die hard. They caught him, obviously. Sent him back. But here's the unbelievable part. He escaped again.
Not once, but twice.
And both times, back to Dade County.
It's, those repeated escapes and the returns to Dade County, they suggest, I think, a pattern of behavior that goes beyond, just familiarity.
Yeah. What do you think was going on?
Well, maybe Ronnie had, like, a network of sympathy there, right?
Yeah.
People willing to help him escape, give him shelter. Or maybe, he just underestimated the determination of law enforcement to track him down.
It's, it really shows the challenges they face. Containing these individuals who are, just so determined to escape and get back to their criminal networks. So, stepping back a bit, what stands out to you about the impact of the Stanley Harris case?
Well, what's significant, I think, is how this case became a catalyst for reform within the Miami Police Department.
Right, the corrupt police sergeant.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that revelation, it sent shockwaves through the department, exposed a level of corruption that, could no longer be ignored.
It was a wake-up call, for sure, and it led to, like, a series of reforms, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Aimed at, rooting out that corruption, strengthening accountability, restoring public trust.
It was a big deal.
It was. And, this case, it also highlighted, I think, the importance of community engagement in combating organized crime. I mean, think about that initial wall of silence.
Yeah.
It showed how fear can really paralyze a community,
Right.
allowing those criminal elements to thrive. But when people, like Billy the Kid, those women from the Pirates Cove, they found the courage to come forward. It empowered others.
To do the same.
Exactly. I mean, it demonstrated that, even in the face of fear, people can, they can choose to stand up for what's right and cooperate with law enforcement to bring criminals to justice.
And it reminds us, we all have a role to play.
Absolutely. In creating those safer communities.
It's not just about reporting crime, is it?
No. It's about fostering a culture of accountability where, corruption just isn't tolerated and where law enforcement is held to the highest standards.
Couldn't agree more. So we've come to the end of our deep dive into the Stanley Harris case and the downfall of the Cavo crew. What are some key takeaways?
Well, the Stanley Harris case, it offers this glimpse, I think, into that dark underbelly of 1970s Miami, a time and place where organized crime, it flourished. And corruption reached into the very institutions that were tasked with upholding the law.
Yeah.
It's a story of power, betrayal, violence, but it's also a story of resilience, courage, and the pursuit of justice. And I think the case serves as a reminder that, while organized crime can inflict immense harm, it can also be dismantled through, a combination of effective law enforcement, community engagement, and the commitment to holding those in power accountable.
Well said. This deep dive has taken us through, a wild journey through organized crime, corruption, and the pursuit of justice. It's a story that reminds us that, the past can really teach us valuable lessons about the present and the future. Until our next deep dive, everyone, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep engaging with the world around you.